Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'm finally going to be doing my summer recommendations. I just got into reading about a little over 2 years ago, like seriously, that was outside of school reading. These are some of my favorite books that I've read in the past few summers. And I want to share them with you guys. Starting off strong, we have the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I think these are perfect reads to read in the summer. 2, I watched the show before reading the books. Well, I watched the first season of the show and then I read the book, like all the books, and now I know what happens like before the other seasons are out, but I still loved them. This is the first book. I have like the TV cover for that, and then like the other cover for these, but I love these. They're such easy reads. They're like, you're really able to like fly through them. I love reading that. I read this almost every summer. I haven't read it this summer yet, but I think I'm definitely going to soon, like end of this month or next month. I'm definitely going to read this before classes start so I can get this in, because if there's a book I read every summer, it's going to be this one. If you don't know what this is about, or if you haven't seen the show or it hasn't been all over your social media, Belly and her mom and her brother go to this beach house every summer with her mom's best friend and her 2 sons, and they spend the summer there at cousins. And basically Belly has always had feelings for Conrad, but it's like clear that like he doesn't have feelings for her really. It's just like a little crush that she has. I believe she's younger than them, so it's just like, oh, Belly just has a little crush, blah blah blah. But when she comes back this summer, she's like grown up, you know, she's going through puberty, she's kind of, you know, catching their eye. So you go through them spending the summers together, her relationships with the brother, her friendships, and everything else. I will say that the show is like a little bit different. The show has some other things that are going on that were in the books, but it's still amazing. I'm so sad that I'm not watching a new season of The Summer I Turned Pretty this summer, and that there's not going to be one until next summer. But either way, super good. I definitely recommend these. Super light, and also really good if you're just getting into reading. I think these are great. All right, next we're going to be talking about one of my like maybe first 5-star reads this year, I don't know, but Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. If there's a book that you're contemplating out of all the books that I'm talking to you about throughout this whole video, which one should you actually read and like really spend your money and time on, it's this one. Abby Jimenez, I have come to terms that she's like my favorite author hands down. Like, I love her writing. She always has like her, it's like romance, but it obviously has like a subplot, not obviously, but like it has a subplot of something else or like heavier topics going on that like kind of pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. And that's what I love so much, because she learns how to like, not learns, but she balances the two so well. So I have talked about this before. I would also say that if you're going to read this, I would read Yours Truly and Part of Your World and Yours Truly first. Don't have to do it. You can read it as a standalone, but there are some connect the dots that go on. It'll be a better read if you do it that way, but if not, no worries, it's still a great book. Emma and Justin both date people, and every time that they break up with that person, their ex goes on to find the love of their life, and they're still sitting here single. So they have a curse. Justin ends up posting this thing on Reddit about how he's cursed, and Emma ends up contacting him, and they end up dating with the idea that when they break up, they will both then go and find their own person. So while they're dating, they set like a list of like dating rules for how many dates they need to go on, and like what goes on in a relationship while dating to consider it a real relationship. And they go through that whole experience. Also have what Emma is dealing with family toxicity, and Justin dealing with having a law on his plate, and how they're kind of balancing all of that in their lives. Kind of just figure out if this curse thing is really true and what really happens between them, and how they also deal with heavier like life topics, how that, you know, can affect a person. I've loved this book. The tabs in it are amazing. I think Justin has set a new like book boyfriend standard for me. Pick up this book, read it. Next, Lease on Love. I have been talking about this for the past 3 videos, but this was such an unexpected love for me. Like, I feel like this gives summer vibes just by like what's going on in the cover. I don't really remember if it's like set in the summertime necessarily, but the vibes that were going on within it, and just the way it was so funny and lighthearted. I feel like this is the perfect thing to read in the summer. And I mean, I read it this summer, so I feel like anyone else could read it in the summer. You can really read any book anytime, but you know, when you're out and it's summertime, you want a book that kind of gives you that summer feeling, and I feel like this definitely does that. So in this book, Sadie, the main female character, ends up going to work thinking she's getting this promotion, just to find out that the promotion does not get handed to her, which is really unfair because she's put in a lot of work to the job, and she finds out she doesn't get it, can't afford to stay where she's living anymore. I think it was a situation where she thought she was on a dating app or something, had accidentally like was on like a roommate thing, like the guy was looking for a roommate, so when they meet up she's like, oh, you're looking for a roommate. Jack, the guy main character in here, he is going through, you know, the death of his parents and is having a really hard time with that. He doesn't really leave the house, giving very much antisocial vibes. So while they're at that, you know, kind of date, that situation that they have going on, he basically ends up offering her a place at his building where he lives for really cheap rent, you know, offering to help her get back on her feet. She takes the opportunity, of course, and she loves real estate. She goes to see his place, is in awe with the place. They are completely opposites, like 100%. And Sadie has this dream of being a florist, so he kind of helps her with that, getting on her feet. And you just get to see like their relationship grow, and there's so much found family in this. I feel like Sadie's friends, it's like funny, you can like read their, like there's like moments of group messages in here and stuff, and I just love found family. I think I've discovered that I really love found family in books, because it just feels like I'm like watching a movie when I'm hearing all the conversations and stuff. It's super enjoyable, and I loved reading this summer. Okay, next set of 3 that I'm going to recommend you guys is any of Carly Fortune's books. I started off first literally reading them in this order. I read Every Summer After first. I loved this because it reminded me so much of Love in Other Words, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and I loved this. It was very similar. I think I gave this like around 4 stars. Obviously the cover alone, all of her covers, the way that she has them, they give the perfect summer vibes. On the back it says 6 summers to fall in love, 1 moment to fall apart, a weekend to get it right. Basically the main character in this book, her name is Persephone. I believe she goes by Percy, and she ends up receiving a phone call that she needs to return back to her hometown, which leads her to run into Sam. She thought she'd never see Sam again, but his mother ended up passing away, so she has to go and attend her funeral. And basically you end up finding out what happened between Sam and Percy, and why did they stop talking all these years ago, and they had spent all these amazing summers together, and you kind of just figure out what went wrong. It's told over the course of like 6 years that you go and you look back at like present and past tense of what's been going on in their life, and you kind of, you know, eventually lead up to the moment where it's like, okay, you're done talking about the past, what's really going on. It gave me a sense of like being on the edge of my seat, because I wanted to know what happened between them, but also all the moments that they shared were just really cute, and I loved this book. I want to reread this at one point to make sure I still love it as much as I'm telling you guys, but I know from when I read this the first time, I loved it so much. And then to start picking up and talking about Meet Me at the Lake, I will say this is probably my least favorite out of the 3, but I still enjoyed it. This kind of gives the same scenario going on. They were supposed to meet back up a year later, and Will never, oh sorry, I'll give full names. Fern and Will, they were supposed to meet back up a year later, and Will never showed up, so they stopped talking and they end up crossing paths again, and you're going through the same situation of figuring out why did he not show up, what went wrong. On the back it says that the timing was wrong, but their connection was undeniable. They shared every secret, every dream, and made a pact to meet again 1 year later, and Fern didn't show up. Fern showed up and Will didn't. Fern is battling running her mother's resort and also wanting to chase like a different dream and goal that she has in life. So what had happened between them was 10 years ago. So you go through 10 years of present and past tense, seeing that connection they had 10 years ago and what was going on, and then jumping to the past and like being really confused on what the heck happened. that's basically what goes on in here. Both of these books are very similar, I will say that. They definitely have a different concept of like what's going on between the characters' lives, but the whole like timeline thing is definitely the same. So I don't know if I would like read them in the same summer. I read every summer after, I think last summer and this one this summer, so I didn't feel like it was too repetitive, but I don't know if I'd read them like in the same summer, unless it's like something you really like, is like present and past tense reading. And like next book, this summer will be different. I love this book. I loved this book. This is probably my favorite out of the three. Lucy and Felix are the main characters within this story. Lucy is, you know, touring, spending time at a beach house, and she ends up running into this guy named Felix who ends up, you know, showing her around and getting her, you know, used to the area. They end up like hooking up, vow to never do that again. You find out that Felix is Lucy's best friend's brother, and the best friend is Bridget. And so Bridget is kind of going through this crisis. He needs Lucy to come to PEI and spend time there, but Lucy's like kind of like, I don't want to go, I don't want to see Felix, I don't want to avoid seeing him. Lucy spends the time, she goes to PEI, she helps her best friend going through her crisis, but she also has this connection with Felix going on. But they have this rule, Bridget and Lucy have this rule that Lucy can never fall for her brother. So you kind of see that go off the rails. That does not happen, and you kind of get to see this really amazing connection between Lucy and Felix. And also the aspect of Bridget's side plot was cute. I thought it was really nice to see how Lucy is balancing everything and figuring out her own emotions without hurting anyone around her. Next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is The Layover. I read this book on spring break, and I read it when I was on the plane in the airport, and I loved this book. I thought it was super lighthearted. I don't really remember too much about it. I had no problems with this book. I actually flew through it, and it's not too super long either, so it's perfect like take on a vacation, especially if you're gonna be on a plane. It's perfect, just barely hitting a few hundred pages. Like the epilogue starts on page 299. It's super short. I'm just gonna read the back to you guys because I don't really remember much about it. It says, after 10 years, Ava Green is finally ready to hang up her wings. She's planning to enjoy every second of her final flight when she discovers that former pilot and current enemy, gorgeous but infuriating and cocky Jack Stone, is on the same trip. And Jack has the nerve to flirt with her as if he doesn't remember the most humiliating night of her life. Once they land, she'll never have to see his face again. So when mechanical problems turn into a quick stop at the Belize airport and to a weekend layover at a luxury resort in paradise, all the rum punch in the country can't drown out her annoyance. The more time Ava spends with him, the more she second guesses what she knows about him and whether she truly wants her feet on the ground or her head in the clouds. It was nice, it was short and sweet. Definitely recommend this one. Lastly, to wrap this up, I'm going to sit here and recommend you all of Emily Henry's little books right here. The only one that I didn't put on here was Funny Story. I would recommend Funny Story. It was just, I think I came to the conclusion it was like my least favorite out of them, and I didn't really get many summer vibes from that, but I might have been blanking out honestly of what was even really happening in that book because I wasn't really feeling it that much. But these ones, really good. I don't want to necessarily sit here and talk about all of them. I will say I honestly feel like these are almost my two favorite. We have Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation. I don't remember too much about People We Meet on Vacation. I read it like 2 years ago at this point. Same with Beach Read. I don't remember too much about them, but I love these books. I know that much. Emily Henry also, like, she's probably my second favorite author at this point. Her writing is also, it almost gives the same vibe as Abby Jimenez. I want to say it almost feels like a little bit more mature in a sense, but they're all romances with a subplot of something going on with the character and a heavier topic or a real life like topic. I want to take like a time at some point and hopefully reread one of these before classes start, or even when classes start, I guess, but I just want to reread them because I know I for sure love these. I just read this one recently. It was amazing, and I had mixed emotions about Happy Place, but come on, like the cover in like itself is gorgeous. Yeah, I definitely would recommend all of her covers. They're so beautiful and bright and give the perfect summer vibes, so definitely recommend anything by Miss Emily Henry. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up for me today. So I hope you guys take the time to analyze. I promise you, whichever one you read, it will be great. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.